All right, I'm Alex Myers. I'm a senior writer at Golf Digest. Uh, I write mostly for golfdigest.com. I also write for the magazine. I've been there now for over 13 years, which is kind of crazy to say. Before that, I worked at the Journal News in Westchester. And before that, I went to Wake Forest, where I got into sports journalism, writing for the school paper, the old Gold and Black, and covered a lot of sports there, including the golf team, which happened to be very good. So that kind of got me into all of this.
Okay.
That's it. Yeah.
All right. And how would you say you consume like golf content today, whether it be like through like reading or watching videos or watching tournaments? Like, what do you think?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's part of my job to constantly be consuming golf content. So, whether it's just watching coverage on TV or streaming online, with the PGA Tour Live or ESPN Plus, or, I feel like I'm on Twitter like 24/7. I know my wife thinks I'm on Twitter way too much.
Yeah.
I'm constantly consuming golf either as it happens or, monitoring players or different news outlets who cover the game, because I'm constantly looking for things to write about. And most days I wake up, I don't know what I'm going to write that day, or cover, or do a video about, or do a podcast about. And so I'm constantly checking all these things
Yeah.
and looking for ideas. So yeah, I mean, to answer your question, it's pretty much a potpourri of just about any way you can consume it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So you obviously you've been so involved with the golf media world, both as like consumer and as like a producer of stuff. So like, and you've been involved in it for a while. So I just wanted to know like, how do you think it's changed recently with golf's like, obviously it's skyrocketed in popularity recently, and like,
Yeah.
how do you think that's affected the world of golf media?
Yeah, I mean, it's been crazy these last couple of years, obviously, since COVID, how much more you see people playing golf. I think that's carried over into people following golf, at least in terms of the discussions, the heated discussions that you see, whether it's on Twitter or, amongst your friends. I have friends who didn't care at all about golf, who now not only play it, but they'll be texting me during tournaments. So I think there's been a huge change. Obviously, with COVID, there were a couple months there where nobody was doing anything. And then finally people realized, well, you can kind of do things outside, and golf is kind of one of the only things where not only are you outside, but you don't have to be near anybody if you don't want to. And,
Yeah.
and so it kind of became that safe activity for people to do. And as a result, it's been an incredible boom. I mean, really, there was a boom following Tiger Woods' emergence as a pro and winning the Masters in 1997. And then it was kind of pretty stagnant for a while, but these last 2 years, it's been a huge boom. I know course closures are way down. They had been creeping up. I know rounds are way up. I just did a podcast where I was quoting all these stats from the National Golf Foundation. I want to say that there was a 20% increase in rounds this year after there was already like a 20% increase last year. So it's kind of this unprecedented growth right now. And I think it's spilling over into people talking about the game as well. So it's an exciting time in terms of what it's changed with the media. It's funny, when I first worked at Golf Digest, the website was this really small operation. It was me and two other people, I guess three other people. And now, and we were kind of like in the corner of the office, like, yeah, that's the website. And now it's like the website is bigger than the magazine
Yeah.
practically. I mean,
Yeah.
the website kind of almost dictates things that are in the magazine and vice versa. It's kind of like when stories are pitched for the magazine, it's always like, well, is there a web component there? Is there a video component? How do we tie this together? So from that perspective, it's been really exciting because I feel like I was kind of in on the ground floor with the website of Golf Digest when we weren't that big, and now we're pretty big and pretty important, and doing very and thriving. So I've definitely seen a huge shift in golf being consumed. It used to be the magazines and obviously newspapers. where I worked previously. And now, not to say Golf Digest magazine is still really big, really important, still has over 1 million subscribers, but a lot more people are getting their news and their golf coverage directly from the website.
Okay. Yeah. So you have this website and obviously it's doing so great. So I wanted to know, like, you have these content pillars, right? You diversify your content, and I wanted to know like where you see the most engagement with that. Like what part of golf are people really interested in today?
That's a great question. It's funny because there's certain stories that can be from different subjects that can all pop. Overall, I would still say, newsy stuff still probably drives the most traffic to, just because it's the stuff that's happening every day, and it's the stuff that we're kind of, we're writing about every day, and we probably write the most about news. But there's other things that do well. For sure. I know, our instruction content is obviously very strong. It's one of our big strengths. And now we're doing more of that online. We just hired back Luke Curdanine. He was a guy I worked with a while ago, and he was doing really good things for Golf Magazine. And now he's come back to us. And so we're going to focus more on doing, more instruction based off things that are happening in the news, based on tour pros and everything else. So that's something that we're going to adapt to as well. But overall, I would say, the main content pillar, for online perspective, I would say is news. From the magazine, it was always instruction, courses. But now, again, with the website doing so well, I think we've kind of shifted a little more into a, current keeping up with the news. That's what people are coming for.
Yeah, that adapting is really cool, right?
Yeah.
And something that I think is like it's happening in the media, but it's also happening everywhere in the golf world, right? Like there's so many questions being raised with this popularity about like casuality on the golf course, like music, shorts,
Sure.
shorts for pros and tournaments,
Sure.
hoodies, like
Yeah.
and the tournament formats even. I like you can see that in LIV Golf and like the
Yep.
casualization of golf. So I just wanted to ask you like generally like what role do you think tradition should play in the evolution of golf, whether it be tournament formats or courses and technology or like formality on the golf course?
Yeah. Again, great question. I would say that golf, probably more so than almost any other sport, is kind of tied to tradition. And so I think that's why we've seen, such a rift now with LIV coming in and them trying to shake it up and do things a little differently. And there's a lot of people who are just hold on to what they know. And I think that's even more so in golf. But, I do think that tradition is important to keep there. If you do come up though with new creative ways to play the game or to cover the game, I certainly think those should be looked at. And clearly traditions can always be improved upon. So, but no, the stuff you mentioned, the style obviously is, you look at guys who were playing, look at Bobby Jones when he played. I mean, he's playing with a tie and a sweater vest and,
Yeah.
slacks, and we've already moved way past that. So the fact that we're now moving towards hoodies, it's like,
Yeah.
who cares? I mean, that's if people want to wear hoodies, let them wear hoodies. I think if the pros want to wear shorts, let them wear shorts. I mean, I think it would look a little weird at first, but we would get used to it, just like we've gotten used to different length of shorts in the NBA throughout the years. So I'm, that kind of stuff. The music on the course, you see that a lot more now.
Yeah.
I personally don't do it, but if someone I'm playing with, I was playing with someone a few weeks ago and they put music on the cart. I mean, I didn't care. It was fine. I mean, you're still, so I have no problem with that kind of stuff. I think it's really cool. I think the more things that you can do to not, the fewer barriers you can put up,
Yeah.
is great to get people in the game. And so there might be some people who do want to go out and listen to music and wear hoodies and whatever. And if that's what it takes to get them to play golf, so be it. I think that's great.
Yeah. I think it's definitely going a long way to like reducing the stigma of like the stuffy country
Yes.
club golf, right? Like
A hundred.
that's something that a lot of people see, and it's starting to dissipate a little bit with the rise of like so much. So
A
much just
hundred,
formality. Yeah.
100%, man. And it's true. And it's unfortunately golf does have that stuffy reputation still. But I do think that is changing. Um, and it is because of some of these things that people are seeing. And again, just this boom that has happened these last 2 years, and you've gotten more people into it.
Yeah.
These are people who never considered playing golf before who are now out there, and they think it's great. I mean, we know how great of a game it is, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we know that once you get someone you're,
You're
into
hooked.
it, they're
Yeah.
hooked. Exactly. So they hit that one great shot at the range, or they make one putt,
You want to get that
they're
feeling
hooked.
again. Just
Yeah.
want.
So, and certainly, you don't need to be a member at a country club or anything else. I mean, we happen to live in Westchester, where it's very country club dominated, but
Yeah.
the rest of the country, for the most part, is not like that. So, you have, I just did a podcast recently on a couple courses where the community members took over the course and saved them and kept them going and worked and did jobs like maintenance and tended the bar there. And, a golf course can be a community. It doesn't have to be a stuffy country club.
Okay. That's so cool to see. And like, I just wanted to know, like, as you, sure, like, it's definitely so great that you're getting all this like intimacy and like community in the recreational golf sense. But like, do you think that should be recreated on the professional level? Like, should the formality of the PGA Tour and like obviously LIV Golf is with the like upright the rise of LIV Golf. Like, I want to know like how has it affected the game? How will it continue to affect the professional game? And like, what how can we tie that back to recreational golf and what people see in what people perceive about golf when someone says golf? What do you think of, and like how has LIV Golf changed that, and how will it continue?
Yeah. You know, I think LIV Golf has the potential to change that. I mean, even something as small as letting the guys wear the shorts. I mean,
Yeah.
certainly if you're watching at home, you think, oh, that looks more like me out there.
Yeah.
You see the guys watching, and they're playing music during the rounds. They're trying to do those things that you're right. They're trying to kind of bridge that gap from the elite tour pro to the recreational golfer. I wouldn't want to lose all of that gap,
Yeah.
because
Sure.
obviously there is something that separates those
Yeah.
guys. And I think, like when you go to watch, a baseball game or an NBA game or whatever, or a football game,
Yeah.
there's a reason why you're going to see those guys. They're the
Yeah.
best, and they stand out for a reason, right? So, I don't want it. I don't think any fans want it to be too casual. I think that's the one drawback with LIV, is it's sort of getting billed as being more of an exhibition, where guys have, the guaranteed money already. And there've been questions of whether the prize money is coming out of their contracts and this and that. Like, are they really playing for anything? So you want the guys to really be invested and fighting tooth and nail to do their best and make the money and everything else, because again, that's why they're the best, and we want to see them compete. So, but I think you definitely can make it more where you do bridge the gap a little. But you don't want it to be too casual, because then I think people will lose interest.
Yeah. People want to see the competitive fire. I definitely understand
Exactly.
that. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. And with the pros, and like they've gotten like significantly better with like scoring average, and all of that has definitely gone down, and courses have had to lengthen and to beef up to protect against that. So like I want to like evaluate like technology's role in that. Like how has it changed like the way courses have to adapt, and like how's it changed the way the pros practice? Like what has that done?
Yeah, technology has been huge, and I know that, the way pros train now has been huge as well, because back in the day, these guys were not hitting the gym. They were hitting the bars after the round, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Arnold Palmer was not, he was in great shape, but he wasn't hitting the gym before. And I mean, these guys, it's crazy. People think of golfers as, not real athletes. It's ridiculous. These guys are training as hard as anybody now. And when you factor in how long their days are, they might start going to the gym, and then they practice, and then they play, and then they go to the gym again, or, you're hitting balls on the range for hours and hours. I mean, you have to be in great shape to do that. right?
Yeah.
I mean,
The
the
stamina,
toil,
the
the
endurance you have
stamina,
to have is
exactly. The toil
ridiculous.
it puts on your
Yeah.
body. Yeah, I mean, like a VJ Singh back in the day. I mean, he would practice from dawn to dusk. I mean, it's incredible work ethic. So my point is, there have been incredible leaps in terms of training. There have in every sport, and
Yeah.
these guys now have trainers. They have not only fitness guys, but like food specialists and all this other stuff. And they're trying to maximize because at the top, first of all, at even on the high school level or the
Yeah.
college level,
Mhm.
every player, each stroke is so valuable, and you're looking for the tiniest edge.
As you
So
get better
these
and better, it's just
exactly, and you have to
margins.
always be improving. The margins are so small. So these guys have gotten better that way, but then you throw in the technology, and
Yeah.
you'll hear a guy like, I don't know, I'm trying to think, like a Colin Montgomery or something. We had him on the podcast recently. Some of these senior guys say they hit the ball farther now than they did in their prime.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
now that's not all working out. That's clearly
Oh, 100%.
technology.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the clubs. That's the ball. The
Mhm.
ball goes a lot farther.
Yeah.
And so you're right. Because of that, then that's had a trickle down effect on golf course design.
Yeah.
We've seen some great traditional layouts have to be either lengthened, or the PGA tours dump them, or majors don't go to them anymore because they're just too easy now for these
Yeah.
guys. Old courses where you used to have to shape it and go around a dog leg, guys are just flying over it now. So unfortunately, there's been a little shift where we've maybe lost some of the true intention of certain courses architecture. But I think that's been going on for a long time.
Yeah.
So I think that was bound to happen anyway. But yes, certainly technology has changed a
Yeah.
lot. And you could argue they need to start doing something now, because in 30 years, who knows what it's going to look like. But
Yeah.
again, I know they've been saying this for decades as well. And
Then they're going to draw back distance. Yeah.
exactly. They've been talking about it forever. We'll see if the USG ever really cracks down and does something about it.
Yeah.
Personally, yeah, I wouldn't want it to get to the point where, guys could drive every par four,
Yeah.
for instance.
Yeah. Because then
Right.
you're not seeing that then it just becomes like a little washed. Like you just like see just the same thing every time.
Exactly.
You want to see the competitive thing. You want to see the skill, and sometimes that just gets overshadowed by the straight just brute power. Right.
Exactly. And maybe it's a kind of thing where eventually there's certain tournaments where they use a different type of ball, or they use a different restrictions on equipment, and it forces guys to really have to shape shots and strategize and think a little more than just bomb and gouge and everything else. But again, I don't think luckily we're quite to that point where it's completely boring. I know some people will say that like a typical PGA Tour setup is a little too dull. There's not as much going on, but I still think the guys are tested enough. But yeah, there's only so much land right out there. And so these certain courses that are already tipped out at 7,500 yards,
There's a limit,
there's really
right?
not much else they can do. So we'll have to see. We'll have to keep monitoring that. And if the USGA decides to do something
and definitely like with the drawback that they've been proposing, like if that on the professional level, that's a completely different thing with the recreational level, right? Because people come, they go out to the golf course, they want to hit as far as they can. You get so much satisfaction from that. You're not out there to showcase your skill or anything. So I think if the USGA were to do something, I definitely don't think it would be effective and helpful for the game to have that trickle down all the way to the recreational level.
I agree with that, and you're right. And certain people have said, well, we can't have two different sets of rules. Golfers like to say that they play the same equipment as the pro, but I mean, who cares? Like, seriously, I agree with you. Like the recreational golfer, let them play whatever they want to play with. Even now with the grooves, like, I don't even know why that affects the recreational golfer. Like, golf is so hard. Don't make it even harder for people. Like you said, everybody wants to hit it far. And when you see the real distances that people are hitting, I think I just saw something. It was like only 5% of recreational golfers average over like 260 off the tee.
Yeah, because you can have the strength, but you have to. It's just going in all different directions.
Right.
there's no reason to like draw that back and have it become even more difficult because like
Exactly.
for practically everyone, it's like super hard, and like you don't want to just
E-
give them another reason to like be like, no, I don't want to play. It's just not fun anymore, right?
Exactly. And like it's what's crazy is with all these advances, the average handicap has not like improved
Oh,
in
yeah,
decades. So there's still plenty of terrible golfers out there. They need all the help they can
yeah,
get. Um, I I'm not a great golfer myself. I need all the help I can get. I need all the distance I can get. And so I agree. If they ever do make a move like that, let the recreational golfers still have their fun.
yeah,
Again, we want fewer barriers
yeah.
for people,
That's
and
really
it's
important.
tough enough sport as is.
Uh-huh.
Let people have their fun. Let people have what equipment they want to use.
100%.